Hello, storytelling, Ron. So this is a tough video to make. I just got a rant. Yeah, it's the Super Bowl and the "He Gets Us" commercial. I got to go over that. I'm gonna. Oh, my dog is itching out there. Okay, I'm gonna just pretty upsetting. Well, you know. Yesterday at Pastor John MacArthur at Grace Community Church had his sermon was on Revelation 6 and on how and then throughout the whole Bible. And he went to Daniel, he went to Isaiah, about how the Antichrist will promise peace and security, safety with a one world government. And we just submit to the one world government, they will promise peace and security. Just be accepting and for them, love is accepting sin. So let me just go through this ad. I'm not going to play it. It's pretty annoying. I'll just go through. Thank you, Not to Be, for your post about it. So I'm just going to dissect these images they have. First off, Jesus never washed the feet of the non-believers, the sinners. I mean, he washed the feet of his disciples, right? I mean, he didn't wash the feet of others. I don't recall. I mean, correct me if I tend to forget things, but I just don't recall that in there. Also, and look at the Christians. They show them out here being like ridiculous and all white, and you know their signs are down and they're bored or whatever. And she's over here washing their feet. That's ridiculous. This is ridiculous. This girl is being, and this, of course, is not a family planning clinic. It's a family destroying clinic, right? It's murdering babies. But she's being manipulated and thwarted by universities, public schools. They're pushing for her to have an abortion. But what about the man who got her pregnant? Probably some older dude. Also, they generally don't look like this. Like, look at this sort of innocent country bumpkin look to this. You know, it's a very manipulative image. What about the trans or the lesbian looking, or the shaved head, or the dyed hair, or the piercings, or the tats? You know, what about that? That's the Hispanics and the blacks. Of course, the blacks have the hugest amount of abortions, or the Hispanics have a big, sadly. I remember seeing a video of a father taking her daughter in to get an abortion. Hispanics, because I could tell they just didn't want to deal with it. They just wanted to get rid of this. That's, just such a manipulative picture. And you know what? I don't know. Should we be protesting at, and I appreciate the abortion abolitionists who are out there. Should we be, and some of them I've seen, they go to universities and schools. That's where the public schools, that's where you should be probably, I wonder if that's where we should be protesting. Like at the kid drop off and kid pickup. That's where we should be protesting abortion. Please take my idea and run with it. Okay, this one here, I don't like this one at all. Why are we washing the feet of Muslims? Jesus certainly never did that. He never did that with the Roman soldier or whoever. Pagans. Also, Islam has wiped out 2/3 of Christendom in history. 2/3 of what was once Christian Africa and the Middle East have been wiped out by Islam. In medieval history, and they almost took the last third. Violently, with rapists, terrorizers, and the Spanish had to do the Reconquista, which they took 800 years, and it was a brutal, vicious, backstabbing type of long, enduring thing that which eventually turned into the Inquisition, because as they were winning, they had to deal with the mobs who were going after Jews and Muslims that were still around, and it was just a long, harrowing, versus terrorism. Why are we? What is this? I mean, the people that made this this video, this multi-million-dollar commercial with this, it looks like AI art too, obviously with some green screen or whatever. But they're not Christian, based on what Not to Be and some others investigated them. So it's not even Christians representing Jesus Christ here, with whatever money whatever billionaire gave them the money or whatever. Okay. In this, the image is very brainwashy. The way they have the guy here, it's very brainwashy. Also, in Islam, Islam forces you to convert. They believe in forced conversion. It's part of the religion. So, forced conversion and apostasy. If you try to leave, if you're born in the family and you want to be a Christian, you're targeted for killing, honor killing, whatever. So I don't know. This is not a, very dumb. Like I said, I brought this up before. The liberals are the worst, the ones that promise safety and security, because they will weaken the Christian, and then when they finally weaken the Christian, the ones that will forcibly convert will go in and start killing the liberals first, and then subjugating the Christians. Okay, suburban mom. Okay, so illegal immigrant. Well, first off, it's not usually a woman and a baby. I mean, the baby would never survive. I mean, they're all just dying. It's men, right? It's 18, 20-year-old men, like the guy in New York who ran around, the 15-year-old kid who ran around shooting people. He was illegal. He's 15 years old. He's in a New York City where there's no guns are allowed. It's in a full-on Democrat place, no guns allowed. So I don't even know if that story is true, because you can't you're an illegal 15-year-old. You can't have a gun in New York City. That's just a Democrat rule. But this is ridiculous. I mean, why does she, a suburban woman, a white woman, have to get on her knees and wash someone or bow? She's working her butt off to make a life for her family and her husband in this home and protect it. And we're the targets. This whole place is the targets of this, and of Democrats. So this is just evil, pathetic imagery. This is ridiculous. That doesn't help at all. And he's going to just go on and continue sinning and dirtying his feet all the time. This is not helpful. It doesn't do anything. So Jesus didn't teach hate. Yeah, he did. He taught that there will be people who will hate us. There will be people who will hate, and they will come after Christians because we tell the truth, and we will be shut down. And we will not be allowed to speak about Jesus too. Jesus taught about hell more than he taught about heaven. He taught about the unbelievers and what's going to happen to them, and how Jesus will be persecuted, and how we will be persecuted, and how we will be crucified, and how we will be crucified as Christians. So that's the first thing. And and here's an investigation of who these people are. These are some funny memes, about Jesus. And then they make a list here, and of course they never show in these images, by the way, and this is a good point they make here. They're never going to show like washing the feet of a MAGA person, washing the feet of a January 6th, incarcerated person. It's always the other way around. It's always the left in their agenda that gets their feet washed, because they're the sins or victims of our judgment or whatever. So very frustrating. So here's I'm just going to go through this. How about praying out? Okay, so how do we copy his example of washing feet? What would cause us humiliation and suffering? How about praying outside an abortion clinic and getting 10 years in jail after the U.S. Department of Justice drags you into court? So, that's happening. Christians are getting jailed. They actually have a federal law to support the abortions and persecute Christians. There's a federal law that you can't even, freedom of speech or whatever, you can't do that. You can't block an entrance, by standing there or whatever, and they could sort of implicate you if you were in their way. They have the whole distance thing too now. What kind of freedom of speech is that, where you can't even be near an abortion clinic, or so you BLM people cannot be near, I don't know, church or something, or you can't be out, you got to be 500 feet away. You can't, and in England, right, you can't pray near an abortion clinic. Even just sit there and pray. You can't do that. There's no freedom in paganism. How about refusing to give your endorsement to anything that stains the sacred institution of marriage by not baking a cake for the wedding of two men? How about singing hymns in public, even when authorities in places like England now say that such things can be only be uttered inside churches? You can't sing, you can't pray outside now. You can't, your own business, you have to run it for the trans and the gays. You have to do what they want. Because of the laws, or because they're making, it's not even laws. They're making, they're using laws of freedom to subjugate Christians. How about refusing to call your daughter a boy and fighting against the wicked state like Montana, California, that takes away her way for refusing to inject her with poison and mutilate her body? So that's happening now. It happened in the past. The witches were doing it. That's why the witch trials started happening. They were finding horrible mutilations and surgeries done back in the medieval times. And so now they're happening again. So as Christians, I'm saying we have to wake up. The church has to wake up. Christian men, you have to wake up and start rebuking this wherever and you're going to be persecuted and subjugated to pagan ideologies wherever you go, in the public forums, and in the governance and the halls of governance, and everywhere you go. And you're going to be kicked out of the rain. You're not going to be allowed to play in the reindeer games. You're going to be kicked out of all the reindeer games. How about standing? Hold on. Just had a little mustache hair in my mouth. How about standing up against racial Marxism that burns down cities and venerates criminals in the name of social justice? So yeah, the BLM, remember that? The lockdowns, you had churches had to be closed, but 100, whatever it was, 50,000, 100,000 could crowd together on Hollywood Boulevard here in my city, and that was fine. That was not illegal. That was totally fine. But if you go to church, they're going to shut you down. So exactly. Please, this is the truth. How about refusing to acknowledge the lies of powerful people who try to use the virus to take power? How about refusing to acknowledge the lies of powerful people who try to use a virus to take power? The virus they made, and they know they made it. And then God made a joke out of it. What about advocating to make your nation look more like God's by, say, banning porn, knowing that Christ is coming with a robe dipped in blood to judge the nations? So what are you doing for the Lord? It doesn't matter about your faith. I don't care about your faith. I don't care about your fear of going to heaven or hell. I don't care about your questions. What are you doing for Jesus? That's what I care about. What are you doing for Jesus? That's more important. Not how peaceful you are, not how good you are. I don't care about how good you are. What are you doing for Jesus? What is your crusade? It's time. It's time. What are you doing? Don't care about your problems. I'm being hyperbolic, but I'm trying to get your point across, right? What are you doing for Jesus? I know you got to get a job, get work. I know you got to have your friends you've known for a long time and you want to talk to them and bring them to the Lord. I get it, but what are you doing for Jesus? What about having secure borders with good immigration policies so we can help the poor, the widow, the fatherless, and the foreigner without bankrupting our social services and subjecting our neighbors and children to rapists, traffickers, murderers, and drug cartels? We should be creating a strong nation, a civilized nation, a Christian nation that goes out and enriches the rest of the world. But that is exactly what the Democrats do not want. They do not want America to be successful as a Christian nation. They don't want any Christian nation to be successful. That they will attack Christian nation over and over and over with this ridiculous immigration stuff. And we are letting them, because we're doing this he gets us thing. We're falling for these people that promise safety and security in a one world government. And because we're falling for it, they're destroying everything Christian. And if we were a strong Christian nation, we would be evangelizing out and planting churches to the rest of the nations. But we're not allowed to. We're not allowed to because we're offensive. Jesus is offensive. Calling out sin is offensive. Planting church is offensive. Everything we do as a Christians is offensive too. What the heck? Everything we do is offensive. We want to stop sexual perversity. We want families, fathers and mothers and children. Everything we do is offensive to the world. It's just like, Jesus, please come back. Here's sort of a depiction. Please, I'm just, I get it now, Jesus. I get it. So what are you doing for the Lord? And let me lighten up here a little bit, just to lighten up this video where here's one thing you can do for the Lord. And remember, Jesus said, his task is not a burden. The burden is when you're not doing it right. The burden is when you're not doing it right. You're not following Jesus the right way. It's not a burden if you're following him the right way and if you believe in him the right way. So my suggestion for you is, well, pray on it and figure it out for yourself. Don't, I am not smart, so don't take everything I say or follow me. Follow Jesus. Figure it out. But I have a suggestion. I have an idea. I'm working on it myself, and I really like it so far. If you're a Christian man and you follow me or you're following this video, follow ttrpg. Get the game. Support me if you can. If you need it for free, just email me and talk to me and say what your plan is. I will give it to you. I don't care. I do care in the sense of this is a ministry. This is an evangelism. let's plant our churches in the RPG culture, because I'm seeing that many of the pagans use RPGs now to teach their paganism, their ideology. They're getting everyone to the psyche of paganism. So we need to start doing that with it, because a role-playing game is a neutral thing. It's just a tool. It's just a storytelling device. It's a fellowship device. It's an edification device that anybody can use. And we Christians are not using it. And I'm getting upset, because we can use it and we can have a lot of fun too. Jesus' ministry is not a burden to us. It's a lot of fun if you know what to do. And so help me out. Take the game, and I'm going to do another video today about how to design a game if you want to do that. But I'm highly recommend, please take the game, start a group. It's not easy, but it is doable. I've done it. I'm done. I got my group on finally. It only took me a couple months technically since I sort of washed myself of most of my D&D stuff and stopped doing the actors, who I was paying to try to do a TV show that none of the Christian networks wanted. I talked to them directly, went to the NRB convention and did the pitch to all of them and got no takers. So I'm doing it all on my own. And I guess that's the way you got to do it, and be humble about it and be joyful. So, but you can I am so desperate to watch somebody else play RPG that are Christians, that are playing as Christians, and evangelism and planting the church. That's the most important part of it. Evangelism and planting a church. Those are like the essential parts of the New Testament. Starting from Acts on, it's all about evangelism, planting churches, and supporting the churches. And Jesus said that's what he wants. He wants us to plant a church, which is planting a church in all the separate nations and creating civilizations and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so they did that actually in church history. So, you can study all that coolness and extrapolate it out with whatever sort of genre. Like I'm quite sure I'm going to do a very a D&D type world, fantasy world, but with evangelism and church setting, in the extreme with clerics fight, and paladins. And I will do that because I'm got to sell to you guys this idea. And I'm a little irked in the sense of like, are you guys holding on to the sacred cow, which is D&D and all these other, is it a sacred cow to you? Gotta let it go and do a Christian RPG. So, one way of me of trying to figure that out is to do a D&D style world setting I'm polishing, crafting, and working on the game to the point now where I'm getting more and more comfortable with it. And they've only, the players have evangelized a few times, and I've played the pagans and it's hard. It's a new thing. So I'm working on that as a GM, but, it's going great. It is going awesomely. They love the game. One of the players says it's the best games he ever played and blah, blah, blah. And I'm, okay. So we have in our little RPG culture, which is actually very big and permeating all the LGBTQs, like almost all of them play D&D. So we have an opportunity here to do something. And especially if you're an RPG guy like me, and I'm having a great time at this. You can take one of these, and I'm also going to encourage you to make your own RPGs as well. But I would encourage you to take this system and you'll own your thing as long as we have I got to do a list of just basic things that we all agree on, and then you can create your own settings and sell it or whatever, and do whatever you want. Okay. So start your own ministry, or steal my game rule ideas and create your own version and make a show so I can watch something and let's talk RPGs, Christian stuff. I got to do another one with talk show with some of the other content creators. But anyway, okay. So I got something for you there. So stop letting these people, I'm looking at this, trying to show you, stop letting these fools, these liars and deceivers create this pathetic show or whatever this patheticness is. And we got to get, and he did teach hate, by the way. Who's going to hate Jesus? Who's going to hate us? Jesus most certainly did. We got to bring Jesus back, man. Ooh, I love Jesus. I get a high thinking about Jesus. It's like a joint. I get a free joint. It's such a wonderful high too, because it's a high where I'm completely sober. I completely feel the joy of it all. Whew, and it's a wonderful thing. I'm using that word just to be hyperbolic. Anyway, all right, I gotta do another video about game design, making a game. So in the game of life, holy dice, roll holy dice. Okay.